right. How we feeling this morning, Coach?
Doing great. Little mishaps.
Yeah.
My alarms like to not go off sometimes, and recording sessions a little bit late this week, but you know what? We still make it work. We're still here for the love of the pod.
For the love of the
we
pod.
like to
Now,
say.
I don't know how warm you thought it was supposed to be today.
It's gonna be 80 degrees today, Coach.
Shit, that's not what I saw on my freaking application.
That's that Samsung bullshit. Man.
See, this is not what we're gonna do. I'm not taking no Android slander this early in the morning, man. No Android slander. But on my app, it said it was only gonna be about max 70-some degrees. Now, unless my application didn't update fast enough in real time or something.
Probably. But I think yesterday when I looked, it said like 70 something as well. So I think it changed this morning.
So we're really supposed to hit the 80s today?
We are, man. We are.
Jeez Louise. I don't know if I'm ready for summer.
I'm not. Especially not tomorrow. 87.
I don't think I'm ready. But how was your weekend?
Weekend was solid. Coaching at AU tournament. Probably our worst weekend out of the last couple.
Did you have all your guys?
Yeah, we actually had this one guy that we've been missing all season. He finally came to, and no, just couldn't execute or play defense. So I mean, it's because of the bad practice we had last Thursday. So I mean, I keep trying to tell him, the way you guys walk into practice is the same way you guys are gonna walk into the game, and they don't want to believe me, and they found out the hard way, man.
Yeah, man, it's hard for these young kids to understand. Like, not saying practice make perfect, but definitely practice makes what's the word that I'm looking for? It's predictive. It's predictive programming for what is going to come. If you practice like crap, you're most likely gonna play like crap.
Yeah, I mean, they say you practice how you play how you practice, right?
Yeah.
So that's
except if you're Allen Iverson, then you go practice. Practice? We talking about practice?
Right, yeah.
All right, Coach, let's get into our show.
Let's do it, man.
As always, you know how it goes. It's the halftime give and go. We don't really have to explain the rules anymore. We get 30 seconds apiece, and then we rock it out from there, baby. So first on top, I'm going to go first. Mikal Bridges for the New York Knicks. I'm going to say this, dog. You have been absolutely balling for the New York Knicks as of late, playing extremely well, playing defense extremely well. Since game 1 and game 2, a lot of close moments that Boston had, he took it away with his great defense. And then last game, he was able to drop 23-some points to help Jalen Brunson secure that game 4 win. And so I just want to shout out Mikal Bridges for everything he's bringing to the table. Next, Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look, Anthony, I'm a believer. I'm a believer now, man. I think you are really stepping into becoming that U.S. star for NBA basketball. I believe that you are going to put away the Golden State Warriors tonight in Game 5. And we're going to see if you can capitalize off of this momentum and win a championship. But as of right now, you look like you are the man. Coach, Julius Randle, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been one of the bigger players from Minnesota this series. He was kind of a question mark coming into this season when they did acquire him, what he would actually be able to do. And throughout the season, kind of not necessarily putting on his best performances.
Right.
But, man, he is really showing up in this Golden State series. Golden State doesn't necessarily have an answer for him. If they put Jimmy on him, they find advantages there. And then there's other advantages around the court. I mean, he's just a tough guard. He's a tough matchup to guard against, and he's taking full advantage of it. So kudos to him.
All right, stand on you, Coach. Pascal for Indiana. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, man. People kind of wrote him off, during his time in Toronto. Once the trade happened to Indiana, I think it was a nice little revival for his career. Not saying it was going downwards or anything, but, man, he could step outside the line, hit the 3 ball. He kind of does it all. I mean, he plays defense. He could rebound. He could play make a bit.
Yeah.
He is really one of those true all-around players in the league, and it's showing it's really fruit. it's come to fruition this series for Indiana, and he's been a really big factor in that series as well.
All right, staying on Indiana and showing some love, but this time showing some love to the coach, Rick Carlisle. Coach, what's your thoughts on him right now?
Man. Fiery hot. That's all I got to say. He's coaching the team very well. They just took down the Cleveland Cavaliers in a gentleman's sweep.
Yes.
You know, nobody really predicted
Yes.
that. Nobody really predicted Indiana to make the conference finals, let alone even make the conference semis. You know what I mean? A lot of people wrote them off in the first round. And for them to come in and put their foot down, sure, Cleveland had its injuries, but you still have to beat the team that's in front of you every single night that you play. And that's what they did. And Rick Carlisle was one of those guys, again, that kind of people wrote off and, you know, oh, he's getting old, he should retire. You know, he's not the same Rick Carlisle from before. He's showing otherwise, man, and
I agree.
props to him.
All right, last but not least, back on me, J-Dub, Jalen Williams, OKC Thunder. Look, I said that in this series, he was going to have to be an X factor for whether or not the Thunder can win this series against Denver. And he's showing and proving that since game one. Game one, he started off a little rusty, and OKC lost that game. Since then, he has been balling and has been able to create a very nice balancing act. Shea and Joker obviously are going to cancel each other out. Chet and Jamal potentially are going to cancel each other out. And now it's between J-Dub and Michael Porter Jr. to kind of be the X factors for both of their respective teams. But as of right now, J-Dub is winning that battle, and I just want to show love where love should be shown. Absolutely. All right. That has been the halftime give and go. As always, we want to remind you guys to follow us on our Instagram accounts. Coach is doing some amazing things with his AAU club. I'm working currently right now, me and Coach as well, putting together certain things for our high school team, our high school season that's coming up. But we also got things that we do outside, just conversations that we like to have. So you can follow me at CoachM_got it. And you can follow Coach at Coach_KD41. All right. Make sure you follow us. Look at all the things that we got. Click the links in our bio and just be on the lookout for certain things that we have coming down the pipeline. All right, Coach, you ready to play our game?
Let's do it, man.
Our favorite game, Who's Cooking and Who Should Stay the Out the Kitchen. Number one on Who's Cooking, I got the Dallas Mavericks, Coach. The Dallas Mavericks. Now, look, we'll get into it a little bit more for why they're cooking, but as of right now, they are on a high. They are on a high. They're feeling kind of good. The season was looking kind of crazy. They traded Luka. Fans wanted to kill their GM and Nico Harrison. And now when we get into that conversation a little bit later, the fans are looking a little bit more jovial. And the Dallas Mavericks are looking like they may have known a few things could potentially come their way if they just so happen to play a little bit of the game that we call NBA professional sports and marketing. So it looks like it may work out for them, but right now they're riding on a high. Coach, what's your thoughts on Dallas currently?
Yeah, man. I was surprised when you know what had happened in that draft lottery, and Nico Harrison's looking like a genius right now, man. You know, but you know, is it really genius or is it really just script? Who knows? I don't know that.
Don't be called cynical now. We'll get into it. Don't let them call you cynical, Coach.
Yeah, I don't like being viewed that way. You know, I really try not to be. But nah, man. You know, for Dallas to come in and get that number one pick, when only having, I think, the odds for the 13th pick, meaning they jumped all the way up to 1, was pretty insane. And they happened to win the coin toss against the Chicago Bulls.
Hey, don't give it away, Coach. Don't give it away. We'll get to it.
We will get to that, but
because I know I know that hurts
I can't wait to get into that. But yeah, seriously. Shout out to Dallas. I know people were kind of hating on the whole Luka move.
Yes,
I wasn't necessarily a fan of it either, but when you kind of see what's played out so far, and you kind of see the vision for the team that's being built ahead of them, you know, who knows what this team could potentially do.
Who knows? I just want to say this, though. We will have JJ back on the show to talk about this because I know he's somewhere either like perplexed, confused, hurt, loving, happy, excited, also upset. Like there's so many emotions he's probably going
Some
through
case
all
of
at the same time.
bipolar.
Yeah, so it's very, very bipolar
Yeah.
right now for a lot of Dallas fans because they don't know how to really feel. But moving on to the next team that's cooking but staying in Texas, the San Antonio Spurs come out with 2 picks in the first round in the lottery. Number 2 and number 14, coach. The San Antonio Spurs have Wemby. They got Stephon Castle. They got Devin Vassell. They traded for De'Aaron Fox. And now they walk into a loaded draft with the number 2 pick and the number 14 pick. I don't know if there's any team right now that's more set up for success than the San Antonio Spurs, now with Greg Popovich transitioning to being the president of basketball operations and the new coach that Greg Popovich obviously believes in, who will now be the head coach. I forgot his name. But they are in a position where they can become really good extremely fast, or they can be patient and develop and get some great young prospects into their team and become a team of the future similar to OKC that you really have to watch out for. What are your thoughts on San Antonio and their position right now?
Yeah, just to add, new head coach for San Antonio is Mitch Johnson.
Mitch
That's the name
Johnson.
that we will have to get used to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
no, San Antonio absolutely cooked, man. With the acquisitions they made during last season, and then with this draft lottery, having 2 picks in the lottery is pretty insane. In my opinion, we're gonna get into some trade talks in a little bit, but in my opinion, I think San Antonio is the team to look at for trade talks. I think they might be a really good caliber team and probably a number 1 team, considering they're in Texas and they ain't got no income tax, right? That's what that's what a certain somebody was kind of looking to see. I think they are definitely a big candidate for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think with these 2 lottery picks, they fast track their way to being contenders and making their way into the playoffs. And I think that would be a nice move for them. But I also don't see a crime in just keeping the 2 lottery picks and making the selections and seeing what you could get out of those guys.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we get into the halftime report a little bit. But I'm not gonna say I disagree with what you're saying. I do think they are in the running for Giannis based off of the assets that they have. I just don't know if Giannis would be a great fit with that team
Okay.
and that current roster. I think it sounds good, but I don't necessarily think it works the best. But we'll talk about that later once we get into the halftime report. But for now, let's move on to the favorite part of our game, Coach. Who should stay the fuck out the kitchen? And number 1 on the list, I have to say it, and it hurts my heart. Not really. It don't really hurt my heart. But as a coach to a coach, I really got to get on some of these coaches' asses. And number 1 is Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, I have no idea what your thought process is right now. See, this is why a lot of people, Steve Kerr, believe that you just took the team that is it Mark Jones? Not Mark Jones.
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson. This is why a lot of people think you just took the team that Mark Jackson built and created and had a dynasty with it. Because right now you are showing failures of a coach that I didn't think you would exemplify right now. You didn't play Kuminga all the first series against the Houston Rockets. Then you waited until Steph Curry got hurt to insert Kuminga's presence into this series in which he could have been utilized from the beginning to help you score more points because Draymond Green is not giving you anything offensively. And thinking that you can depend only on Steph and Jimmy Butler to be your offensive duo threat and that being it can't be the case when you have Rudy Gobert being able to dominate the paint at his will because everybody on Golden State is too small. He's walking around getting 14 and 16 points on accident. Meanwhile, Steph and Jimmy, from the beginning of the series, has to fight and claw for everything while Draymond is giving no offensive support. That's where you insert Kuminga. Secondly, why the hell are you still playing Brandon Ponzinski? He's giving you nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't know if you're playing him for defensive purposes, but hey, there's a guy on the bench that you can use called Moses Moody that you can insert. There's another kid on your bench that has shown that he has the ability to be 3-and-D, and Kevin Knox. And for the love of God, why are you not playing Quentin Post? He's the tallest player on your team. And if you want to put Rudy Gobert in a situation where he's isolated on the defensive side of the ball, you put Quentin Post in to get Rudy Gobert out of the post so he can't be a rim blocker. So that way he has to defend Quentin on the perimeter who can knock down 3-point shots. So now the lane is open up for a potential Draymond drive or a Jimmy Butler drive or any of your other guards and forwards that you have. I have no idea what you're doing as a coach right now. It's almost like you've literally forgot how to use your roster now that Steph Curry got hurt. At this point, why aren't you experimenting with having Jimmy Butler at point guard, Moses Moody at the shooting guard, or Buddy Hield at the starting shooting guard, whichever one you want, Kuminga in the starting lineup at small forward, Draymond at power forward, and Quentin Post at center? You still get everything you're looking for. You get the defense between Jimmy, Buddy, and Draymond. You get the scoring and the ability to go one-on-one between Jimmy and Kuminga, and you get a stretch five and somebody that can get you rebounds and have height on the floor to keep Rudy Gobert from just being a dominant presence in the paint. What are we doing? Like, this is what makes me feel like you coaches in the NBA have no idea what the hell you're doing. Like, you're literally there because you got good relationships, but not because you really know anything about basketball. Like, this isn't even rocket science at this point. This is just you being a dumbass. So please, for the love of Steph Curry and his crying eyes for his hamstring that he's never had an injury like this before, and you potentially putting him in a situation where he potentially could come back if y'all can win a game and probably go for his 5th ring, you're literally robbing this man of that because you're doing dumb shit as a coach. I don't have any more for him.
I really don't have nothing to add besides the fact that I too am very surprised that Quentin Post has not gotten a lot of bump this series.
I thought this would be the perfect series.
Absolutely.
Rudy Gobert can't defend the perimeter, or you make him defend the perimeter because you got a guy that can shoot.
Exactly. And then you open up a lot more space for Jimmy to get to the basket because, for the love of God, for whatever reason, he's lost his 3-point scoring ability.
Yes.
Since he came to Golden State. I couldn't agree with you more. The fact that Kuminga still hasn't been in the starting line, I think he did start last game, but
no, he still came off the bench.
Yeah, but still, like, that's crazy to me.
He's just playing more minutes, but he still came off the bench.
The whole Kuminga thing has been crazy to me. I don't know what Steve Kerr's whole dilemma is with Jonathan Kuminga. They're gonna F around and lose him in the offseason.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they're not playing him. Politics.
Yeah, maybe, but I agree. The biggest one for me is Quentin Post. I feel like he'd be such a game changer if he got more bump and just played the game the way he's able to play the game. But I guess Steve Kerr sees it otherwise, and that's why they're down 3-1. So that's all I got there, man.
All right, moving on to another coach.
That's down 3-1.
That's down 3-1. Joe Mazzulla for the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Look. Oh, man. I don't know what's up with these dumbass coaches, bro. Like, Joe, at some point, you have to tell your team, all right, guys, the 3-point shot ain't working. Let's get to the basket. Let's drive, get into the foul situation, get into the bonus, put pressure on the rim, make the referees call some tough calls. Let's do something other than drive and kick or isolation at the top with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to try to go for a step back 3, or a pick and roll game where we come off the pick or come off the screen and we're instantaneously seeing one little open window of a shot and we're pulling up for a 3 between Jason or Derek White or anybody else. Like, what are we doing, Joe Mazzulla? You guys have historically shot the 3-point ball so terrible in this series that we damn near need to not have a 3-point line anymore. That's how bad you guys have been at shooting a 3. And you're continuously doing it. Now, I get it. It has been your identity for the entirety of the season. You guys have been a great 3-point shooting team. But if you want to win this series, you have to do something that's called what? What's the word? Adapt.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's usually what coaches do.
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, a little what we like to call halftime adjustments.
Right.
Shameless plug, but not really shameless, baby, because it's the halftime.
Right.
But y'all don't I don't understand, Joe. Like, what are you doing? What are you seeing? How are you feeling? What are you smoking? Whatever it is, I don't want it because you're clearly not able to make good decisions on the side. And maybe the lights are too bright for you. Maybe you're another one that just so happens to reap the benefits of what Ime Udoka put together, of what Brad Stevens put together. Maybe you're just another recipient of a lot of other people putting things in place, and it just so happened to work out when your time came. Because right now, you're looking terrible as a coach. There's no way that you guys should be down 3-1 to the New York Knicks. And I don't care about the excuses of, well, now Jason Tatum is gone. His Achilles, he's out for the season. He's out for the playoffs. So you don't have Jason Tatum to worry about no more. But I didn't care about the excuses of Porzingis is not as healthy. So what? 70% of Porzingis is better than what Josh Hart can bring to the table. Jaylen Brown should be better than OG Anunoby.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown has been a real letdown for me this series, man.
You telling me that Drew Holiday can't go bucket for bucket with Mikal Bridges? Like, what are we doing here? And then y'all got Jalen Brunson out here looking like he's the next thing, like he's Allen Iverson 3.0. The little guy that's leading the charge. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Brunson ain't nice, because he is. But at the end of the day, it's like, you're not doing anything to offset this. And I don't know if Joe is just one of those coaches where he has an identity, he has a concept, and he's going to live and die by it. I don't make adjustments. You adjust to me. I know a lot of coaches like that. I played for coaches like that just believe that they have a formula, and that formula, for the most part, is 100 proof if it's just done correctly. So maybe that's him. Maybe he's a little stubborn. Maybe he's a little pompous. He does come off, I won't say arrogant, but he definitely comes off as someone who kind of just believes what I believe, and it'll come through and it'll work. That's how he's lived his life so far. But right now, Joe, the Boston Celtics are down 3-1 to the New York Knicks. I believe they're going home for a game, right?
Yeah.
They're going home?
They play in Boston next
tonight. Yeah, the next game is tonight, right?
Yep.
The next game is tonight. You're at home. Please don't get a gentleman's suite, because that might be your job.
Yeah.
That might be your job. What's your thoughts, Coach?
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree with every point you made there. Just two things to add on. For one, Jaylen Brown has been playing like crap this whole season, this whole series, should I say. I know he was kind of battling with injury or something coming into this playoffs, but
they all battling with injury.
But that's what, like, it's the NBA. You play 82 games and you come into the playoffs as a premier team. Everyone's banged up and hurt. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of who could actually play through it. And Jaylen Brown has not been able to this year, and I think that's been a really, really big letdown for them. Also wanted to add, I think Joe Mazzulla is lucky as hell that Cat ain't doing shit this series either. He has not been necessarily much of a force to be reckoned with at all.
No, but I think he's suffering some type of broken finger.
Yeah,
or something.
and he isn't shooting the ball, which I mean, we know if he could get shooting the ball, that team is really dangerous. That's where I think if they advance and they meet Indiana, I think that's where Indiana might have some troubles next series. But I
don't know. Miles Turner might be able to put up with Cat.
No, I think so too. But I'm saying, like, if Cat could get going, that frees up everybody else. Yeah, I agree. So much more. But regardless, Joe Mazzulla needs to lock the fuck in for Game 5 tonight and not go home on his home floor, because it's gonna be a really, really ugly scene. If they lose against 100%. New York in Boston.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Coach, that has been our game of who's cooking and who should stay the fuck out the kitchen. Now, are you ready?
Let's go, man.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Just want to remind people to follow and subscribe to our YouTube at the Halftime Pod. Remember, Coach last week told y'all, we see y'all watching. We see y'all commenting. Even we see y'all sharing. But what y'all not doing is clicking that goddamn button. Click that subscribe button. All right? Click it so we can help y'all, help us, and we can do some wonderful things for those who are subscribed to us, like merchandise, opportunities to be on the show, all type of things. But as we build, then we can do more things. So we need you to subscribe. We see y'all rock with everything that we're doing, but press the button, man. It's very easy, very simple. Helps us, and it helps us continue to make this great content. Because after a while, Brian is gonna say, "Hey, look, them subscribers ain't coming through. It's time for the halftime to be no time." Just kidding. All right, let's move on to the halftime report. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right. First up on the halftime report. Let's get to it. All right. The Dallas Mavericks, they win the lottery. All right. They got the number 1 pick. Everybody is saying Cooper Flag to Dallas. They say that Texas loves their Dirk Nowitzkis, their Luka Doncic's. They need those type of superstars. I'm not gonna call what it is, but they love that type of player and that type of archetype. So Cooper Flag looks like he's set to go to the Dallas Mavericks. There has been a report that has come out and said supposedly Dallas is not interested in trading the number 1 pick and blah, 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 blah. And of course, you have to say this because even if you are considering trading the number 1 pick, if you wanted to, you have to make every team in the NBA believe that you're not willing to do it. So that way, if you do make that decision, you can maximize your return on it, right? However, I'm actually believing a little bit that they aren't interested in trading that number 1 pick. I do believe that they think Cooper Flag, as an addition to this team, will be perfectly suited to play the small forward position next to when Kyrie returned, next to Klay Thompson as the shooting guard, along with AD at power forward, and Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford, either one of them starting at the center position. Most likely it'll be Lively, I believe.
I think Gafford's out of there.
You think Gafford is out of there? I think
he wants to get paid like a starting center.
Oh, he wants to be a starting center? Well, he deserves it a little. He plays well.
Yeah.
He deserves to be a starter. So if he does decide to leave, then that's fine. But with Cooper Flag as your starting small forward as a rookie, and Dallas deciding that they're still hung up on the fact that they want to win and they want to win now, obviously with AD and Kyrie being older superstars, are you a believer? 2 questions. Number 1, what is your thoughts, first of all, on Dallas getting the number 1 pick?
Okay.
That's my first question. I'll give my thoughts after you give your thoughts to that one. But secondly, do you think Cooper Flag as an addition to the Dallas Mavericks makes sense for both short-term and long-term goals? Or is it that they're just saying, if we win now, it is what it is. That's just basically between Kyrie and AD handling that. But in the meantime, we got our superstar of the future. Yeah. How do you think Dallas is saying that? So both questions, whichever one you want to answer first. How do you see them looking at the Cooper Flag addition as far as short-term and long-term goals? And then what do you think of Dallas getting the number 1 pick?
Yeah, I'll start with the with the Cooper Flag thing first. I do believe that with drafting Cooper Flag, I think they do truly believe that adding him will bolster their roster and increase their championship chances this year. Just because I think Cooper Flag is just it. This year he'll be a better version of PJ Washington. And I think that's what Dallas is looking for. I think Dallas needs that. They need a guy that could rebound. They need a guy that could play defense. Cooper Flag could step out and hit a couple threes.
Right.
He's an athlete. He could get to the basket. I think that's a guy that they're looking for. I don't think they're going to... This is probably such like a best case scenario for Cooper Flag because he's really going to be able to come into the league and just ease into it.
Right.
He has so
much. If he stays in Dallas,
that's what I mean. But he has so much talent around him, and if Dallas, of course, takes him, because Lord knows what could happen at 1. Yeah. But we presume it's Cooper. But regardless, best situation for a number 1 pick I think I've seen in a while. If Cooper Flag were to go there, just the talent they have around him and like the skill sets that are around that would be around Cooper Fleck. Like you've got a lot of shooters, you've got the big man. Cooper could really just be like a 3-and-D wing and still find his place on the team, which we know he could do very well. He could do very well at that. So yeah, I do think just by keeping Cooper Fleck, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and do that, and it does help them, I think, just maneuvering, trying to get to that championship. And then if they're able to keep PJ Washington and run him off the bench, that's a tough lineup. That's a very, very tough team and a tough lineup. So yeah, I think that's gonna be great. Now, just to get to the first part of your question, with how this whole debacle went down, I think it was a whole debacle.
Okay, you calling it a debacle?
Yes.
Interesting.
I believe, I'll put it like this. I don't want to be seen as, conspiracy theorist or, a guy that just likes to think of stuff that isn't real or anything like that. But, when Cleveland got the first pick and they got LeBron, people were like, okay, sure. When Chicago got the first pick and they got Derrick Rose, okay, sure, whatever.
When the Knicks got the first pick and they got Patrick Ewing,
okay, yeah, I mean, just kind of, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
And now, you look at it, right? Cooper Fleck ain't from Dallas or anything like that. But you kind of look at the whole scenario that happened this season. One could argue that a possible scenario was like, Dallas, we need you to trade Luka to LA because we need him to get more national attention, global attention, being in LA and all this stuff. And in return, we'll just give you the number 1 pick and you get to get Cooper Fleck. Because when that trade happened, it made no fucking sense. Like 0 sense. And now you look at it and it's like, okay, maybe it does make sense now. Maybe it does make sense now. So like, I don't want to be seen as cynical, like how you said it, or conspiracy theorist,
or how people people say about me that I'm cynical.
Right, but I mean, like, it's kind of too hard to not look at it that way, considering not just this year, but how years prior have gone in the NBA draft lottery as well. Of course, they dropped the video of them like spinning the balls and everything like that, but we know there was controversy in that at some point as well.
Oh yeah, not to mention Wemby going to San Antonio. How perfect that the Frenchman goes to San Antonio. Believer in Tony Parker, and Tony Parker his favorite player. And
exactly,
he always wanted to be a Spur.
It's stuff like that, man. It's like these storylines. Like we like to say that. Of course, the NBA is a basketball organization, but at the same time, it's a business, man.
It's an entertainment business.
It is an entertainment business, and I think this might just be another case of that, man. I'm not gonna deny it because there's just a lot of different pieces of evidence that just point in that direction. But I'm not going to be one to be like, oh, the NBA players know about this. I think they know the same amount of stuff we know, and they just have their own reservations about it.
Yeah, I'll say this. I do believe that the NBA saw the backlash from the Luka Doncic trade. I do believe that they saw how Dallas fans were immensely upset. And I'm pretty sure that they were privy to the fact that Nico Harrison was receiving death threats. Like that was a legitimate thing. Like fans in Dallas were calling him to say that they're going to kill him and that he's not safe to walk on streets and stuff like that. Like that was a legitimate thing. It's not like a joke. And I do believe that they were privy to that information. Am I saying that persuaded them to do this? Maybe. Am I saying that trading Luka to LA was more of an NBA business decision than it was a Dallas Mavericks decision? Maybe. Can I argue that maybe you don't want to pay a guy that's always out of shape somewhere $50 to $60 million a year, and maybe that's just a smart business decision? Sure. Would I say that you would do that 9 times out of 10? No. I wouldn't say you would do that 9 times out of 10. I would say that if you got somebody like Luka, you keep Luka, and you just deal with the circumstances that come with having Luka. I'm sure plenty of people would love to deal with whatever comes with LeBron, whatever comes with Steph, whatever comes with MJ, whatever comes with KD. It's just certain players that whatever comes with it, you just deal with it and you just take it.
Yep.
So I do believe that there has been conversations. I do believe that there has been proper accounts for what has gone on in Dallas and what has transpired since the Luka trade. And I do believe that there have been some meetings to say we might need to cool some things off a little bit. And what's the number one pick? All right, come on, guys. It's just a pick.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
No.
But it just so happens to go to Dallas. Now, I will say this. As far as Cooper Flag, to answer the question about short-term and long-term goals, long-term, I do believe it's perfect to get Cooper, right? Because you can build him into being your next superstar. Obviously, everybody believes that he has the ability to be that in the NBA. I guess the unfortunate thing is, not unfortunate. The only question is whether or not he can be that superstar. Because once you remove Kyrie, once you remove AD, the expectations is you have to do what Luka did. That's a lot. That's a lot to put on his back. Now, fortunately, if he does get drafted by Dallas, similar to what you said, it'll be a great situation for him to be in because it'll be one of the best situations that a number one overall draft prospect has probably been into. A team that is pretty much, well, you know what? I'll say arguably the only person that probably had a better situation would be James Worthy when he got drafted by the Lakers because they already had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson.
Maybe,
So that could arguably be the comparison type of situation where you got a Kyrie, you got an AD, and here comes Cooper Flag. And so that's similar to like how you had Magic, you had Kareem, and here comes James Worthy. So maybe there's your similarity in that little NBA history for some of our younger fans who may not know exactly what that is. Go look that up and research it. And I'm not that goddamn old either, so don't do that to me. I just love this game.
He is on status though.
Anyway. But I do believe that could potentially be something that works for them. So I do think it's a smart long-term thing. Short-term, I'm not so sure. I don't necessarily know if Cooper Flag comes in, insert him as small forward, and Dallas is winning a championship. I think if they want to win a championship right now, if that's really what their goal is, you would have to move off that number one pick and go get somebody like a Giannis. And I think Giannis fits perfectly in Dallas because of the fact that you got Kyrie, who's played with a superstar, AD who's played with a ball dominant superstar, Klay Thompson who's played with a ball dominant superstar. All of those players would be willing to give Giannis the ball, let him work pick and roll with Lively or whoever else you want to have, and go to work. Not to mention, don't be surprised if Vucevic lands himself in Dallas. Because if you get a Giannis, a center like Vucevic is the perfect center to have because now you got somebody that can actually pick and pop instead of just pick and roll. And now you got Giannis in the open floor with Kyrie, Klay, Vucevic, and AD all on the perimeter as perimeter scoring threats, which gives Giannis the floor to basically go to work and demoralize and put anybody that's trying to guard him in the basket. So I think that'd be a good spot if you're trying to win now. If you're Dallas, but if you're thinking about the long-term future, I would say draft Cooper. But we're gonna see what happens. I'm not sold that they move on from the number one pick. I do believe that they want Cooper Flag, and so that will probably leave San Antonio in a spot. But there has been rumors that Golden State is willing to get into that game to get Giannis as well. So I won't rule them out either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with the whole Cooper Flag thing, long term, short term, I think it really is just, if you're a believer of what he can do in year one, like kind of what he's going to be able to do in his rookie season. If you think he's going to be great, then I'm sure, you see the short-term benefit in it.
Yeah.
If you think he's going to need some time to kind of develop and work into the league, then then I could see your take as well with the short term not necessarily paying off as high as maybe other people may seem to be. But let's get from number one overall draft pick to a different team and franchise and sport.
Well, we're going to football.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get to another team.
Yeah.
That had
a
number one overall draft pick that's coming into his sophomore season now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Chicago Bears,
Yes,
Coach.
and their opponents that is coming up now. The official schedule, I think, drops sometime today.
Drops tonight at 7
But
p.m.
this is the opponent list, right? So we
This
have
is all we need, really.
Yeah, this is home games. We're gonna play against Cleveland, Dallas, New York, and obviously our division: the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and then we got a couple games against the Saints and the Steelers. So our home games look fairly winnable.
Yeah,
it looks
I
like
mean-
we should. It looks like we should have some win. Now our away games is where it gets a little tough.
Very tough.
We're on the road against San Francisco. We're on the road against Cincinnati. We're on the road against Jaden Daniels. Of course, they have to run that back because
course.
Caleb has to get his get back. At least that's what they hope. We're on the road against the Super Bowl winning champions, the Eagles,
On Black Friday.
on Black Friday, potentially. We're going against the Raiders, who should be probably our easiest away game, maybe,
Yeah.
depending on what Geno Smith and Ashton Genty can start cooking over there with Pete Carroll as head coach. We know with Pete Carroll, they're going to be a hard-nosed defense, and they're going to play smash mouth football. And then, obviously, you got Lamar Action Jackson. So, based upon the opponents that we're playing this year, what are your expectations of wins?
I think this is still a 10-win team. I think
with the potential opponents that we're playing this year?
yeah, and I'll tell you why.
That's tough.
I think it's because I think we'll play well in our division this year. For one, I don't think Minnesota is going to be as good as they were last year. I think last
Because
year was
of
a
JJ
fluke.
McCarthy as the quarterback?
Not only that, but I think last year was a fluke. Again
Really?
with Sam Darnold, that whole conversation could arise, but I don't think JJ McCarthy is going to step in and be a good quarterback in his first year.
Where Aaron Rodgers is still out there.
They're not. JJ McCarthy is the starter. Secondly, I think the Brian Flores defense is going to get exposed this year by many different franchises. Anytime Detroit played Minnesota last year, they exposed the crap out of that defense. I think Ben Johnson is going to come in and do the same thing this year.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I do think we could go 2-0 against Minnesota this year.
Okay.
So that's 2 wins right there. I think we could also sweep the Green Bay Packers series. I think Green Bay has really taken a step back after last year. I think
Really?
I think even with them drafting Matthew Golden,
Yeah, I was gonna say they had a decent draft.
It's going to be very hard for these other receivers to be happy with the amount of touches they're getting, especially a guy like Christian Watson, right?
Okay.
Coming off of his ACL injury. He was pretty much their number 1 last season. Now he's going to come in probably being wide receiver number 3. And I don't know how happy he's going to be with that when you still got Jaden Reed, you still got all these other guys that you got to pass the ball to. I don't think Green Bay is going to be that solid. I don't think they improved the defense that much, and they did need to improve the defense a lot more than they did. I think we could possibly sweep the Green Bay Packers this year. I'd be really happy. That's 4 wins.
Okay.
I think Detroit, we could go 0-2. All right? I think we go 0-2 in that series, unless we win one in the Ben Johnson get back or whatever, right?
Okay.
So keep it 4 wins. And then what? You got games against
Cleveland,
that's a win in my book. I think we win against
New York.
We win against New York. We win against Vegas, the Raiders.
We win against the Saints.
We're up against 7. We're up 7, right? 7 wins. Saints is 8 wins.
Okay.
And then who else we got?
You got San Francisco.
I think you could beat San Francisco. I think they do beat San Francisco. I think San
Okay.
Francisco is a tough game, but I think they do.
Okay, Cincinnati. In Cincinnati.
Cincinnati's the tough one, but I think that is a very winnable game as well.
Okay, Baltimore. And
Baltimore's a loss.
Okay,
Washington's going to be a loss. Philly's going to be a loss.
So
you're already up to 10 wins.
Did you do your math correct?
I did.
I wasn't following as good as I should have.
I did. All right, trust, I did. But regardless, we're going to win a lot of our home games this year. I think we do have a fairly easy home schedule.
Yeah, our home schedule.
We did get pretty blessed with that, but our
yeah.
away schedule was hell, man.
Our away schedule is crazy, but our home schedule should be fitting for some easy wins.
I'll tell you what, I think the important thing, I know we don't have the full schedule release yet as far as when we're playing who and, whether it's away or whatever, but
except the game before Christmas, I think we play.
We've got the Black Friday game against Philly. That's confirmed. And then we have the Saturday game, week 16 before Christmas. That's the Packers, which usually means, because last year all the Saturday teams that played played on Christmas Day. The Bears might be getting a Christmas Day game this year, man.
I wouldn't be
pretty cool.
surprised, but who we play on Christmas Day? If we're playing the Packers the week before, and we're already playing Philadelphia on Black Friday,
it could be
Christmas Day probably would be Washington.
Could be Washington, right? Or could be
Detroit.
Could be Detroit. Could be Baltimore.
But Detroit always plays on Thanksgiving,
right? But what I was getting into, I think it is really important when we play certain teams because that will determine a big amount of when we pick up our wins and the momentum that leads into the next couple of games. I saw a little schedule leak. I'm not sure how accurate it was, but I think it was from a trusted source that I think our week 1 game is at Minnesota. I believe that's what it is, and we'll find out tonight. But if that's the case, I think we win week 1, man. I think we do come into that building and we put belt to ass. That's what I think.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad that you have that. My expectations and realistic is different. My expectations, and if we can get that opponent list at some point back up, then that'll definitely help me in this situation. My expectations.
Oh, and we beat the Steelers.
And we beat the Steelers because the Steelers are also at home.
Yeah.
All right. But we don't beat the Cowboys.
No. Matt Eberflus is going to win that game. I'm telling you right now, he's going to beat us.
So here's what I'm going to say. My expectations are we should be a 11-win team.
Okay. Fair.
At minimum. We better be. That's my expectations.
Fair.
We better be an 11-win team. You got still all-world quarterback, supposedly, in Caleb Williams. You got the greatest head coach prospect since sliced bread in Ben Johnson. You got a all-star coaching staff that's loaded with all type of talent and experience in all skill positions in all sides of the football. You have Dennis Allen. You got Eric Bieniemy. You went out and got Colston Loveland. You got DJ Moore. You got Luther Burden III. You got Rome. You got Cole Kmet. You revamped the line with Pro Bowler guards and Pro Bowl this. You got a potential starting second-round left tackle that's supposed to be a monster. So we better win 11 games. Realistically, though.
What do you think, though?
Realistically, I don't see us winning no more than 6.
Wow.
And the games that
Coach?
the games that I think we're gonna win, depending on when we play the Browns, if Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback, we're losing that game.
Wow.
Depending on when we play the Browns. And I hope we play the Browns later because I'm assuming by the later in the season, Shedeur Sanders will be quarterback 1 for the Cleveland Browns. If we play Shedeur, we're losing to Shedeur because Shedeur is better than Caleb, in my opinion.
Holy shit.
We're gonna lose.
My goodness,
we're gonna lose to the Cowboys. We're gonna beat the Giants. We're gonna lose both games to the Lions.
Okay.
We're gonna split with the Packers.
Okay.
And we're going to lose both games. No, we're gonna split with the Vikings. We're gonna beat the Saints, and we're going to beat the Steelers. We're gonna lose to the Niners. We're gonna lose to the Bengals. We're gonna lose to the Commanders. We're gonna lose to the Eagles. We're gonna lose to the Ravens, and the Raiders are a toss-up.
Raiders are a toss-up.
Raiders are a toss-up.
Okay, keep going while I count this out what you said.
It all depends on Pete Carroll, Ashton Jeanty, and his ability to run the ball and how effective he is. And I know Geno Smith is going to protect the football.
Well, what you said is 7 wins.
7 wins?
Yeah.
So who did I give? I think I gave them.
Well, I gave the Bears the win against the Raiders.
Yeah, and I gave them the split with Minnesota.
Yeah,
so maybe I'm really thinking that they're going to lose both of those to Minnesota. Maybe that's what my heart really feels.
Maybe, yeah. Or both to Green Bay.
Or both to Green Bay. But one of those in our division, we're going to lose both games to 2 of our opponents in our division, and we're going to split with one of them. So you pick and choose who you split with. Okay. And we damn sure not splitting with the Lions. We're going to lose both of those games.
Yeah, I don't think we're
splitting. We're going to lose both of those games. So you pick and choose who you split with between Green Bay and Minnesota. If I had to pick and choose, if JJ McCarthy is the quarterback for Minnesota, that's your split. But
I feel like we win both of those games.
No. Sorry. Your split will probably be if we split with Minnesota, we're gonna lose both games to Green Bay.
Okay.
Because Jordan Love.
So not split with both.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but if Aaron Rodgers shows up in Minnesota, count all 6 games in our division as losses.
Wow.
We won't beat anybody in our division.
Damn, you're not a believer in what this Bears team could do this year.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. It has to be proven. But the expectations are you better prove it.
Right. But you're not too optimistic at the moment because you just haven't seen anything from this new regime.
No, and I'm still not a believer in Caleb.
Well, that too, right.
Yeah, I'm still not a believer in Caleb. But I believe he's going to be shown out to be a bust. That's why they're putting so much around. But we'll have that conversation when we have that conversation.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
However, that's what I think. I see 6 wins for us. But the expectation is that we better have 11.
Okay.
If we don't have 11 wins and we don't make it to the playoffs, I want to say we should win the NFC North.
If we get 11 wins, yeah, it would probably be winning the NFC North.
We should win the NFC North. So I'm gonna say it right now. The expectations for the Chicago Bears is to win the NFC North with 11 wins and make it to the playoffs and get to the NFC Championship game. That's the expectations.
Okay. Right.
If those things don't happen, I think this season is a failure. What do I realistically think is going to happen? The Bears are going to win 6 games. Ben Johnson is going to be looked at as a guru, but we're going to have questions about Caleb Williams going forward as the quarterback.
We'll see,
and we're going to have serious debates about whether or not the Bears should be looking at Arch Manning to replace Caleb Williams.
Okay. Interesting take. Well, I mean, I think the whole premise of your prediction is that you just don't believe in Caleb then.
I don't believe in Caleb, and I'm also skeptical about Ben Johnson as a head coach, but I'm going to give him grace because I saw what he did as an offensive coordinator, so I got to give him that.
Okay.
Caleb has still yet to prove anything to me. That's just me.
All right. That's you, man.
All right. But we'll have that discussion. That's a Patreon coming.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next episode of the Halftime Report.
Another Chicago team.
Yeah, another Chicago team. The Chicago Bulls get the 12th pick in the draft. And this is because they lost a coin toss. And we're not lying, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, the number 1 pick was decided between a coin flip between the Dallas Mavericks and the Chicago Bulls. And had we won the coin flip, we will be talking today about how Chicago will be able to get Cooper Flagg. But instead, we are talking about how stupid the Bulls look because you traded Zach LaVine in order to better help your situation, supposedly, because you wanted to secure your picks back so that you can have a chance to ensure that you can have your 2025 draft pick. Because if it landed outside of top 10, it would go to San Antonio.
Right.
However, the Bulls were on a trajectory of being able to keep their top 10 pick simply by just playing the rest of their season out the way that it was. Kobe White, Josh Giddey decided that they wanted to be the best basketball players that they could possibly be because guess what? Contract time is coming up for both of them. Kobe can get an extension and Giddey is obviously looking for a whole new deal. So these two decided in the last 2 months of the NBA season that they would finally learn how to play basketball. Because at the beginning of the season when Zach LaVine was here, it seemed like the only people that could be consistent on this team was Zach and Vucevic. And if Lonzo was healthy, he would be consistent in what he was doing. You know what you were getting. So now, the infamous half-court 3 that everybody was excited for with Josh Giddey against the Los Angeles Lakers has turned around and completely fucked us. Because now, with that victory, it put us in a position where we could have had a higher probability of getting the number 1 pick or at least landing top 4 to now putting us in that position where we have to do the coin flip with Dallas and leaving us now with the number 12 pick. So all of this work, trading Zach, getting our picks, having to move on, building, blah, blah, all this stuff that we've been hearing about the opportunities and we need to tank. And for all you tank fans who have been screaming that the Bulls just need to go young and they just need to tank, we need Cooper, tank for Flagg. This is what you get when you go about that process. The guarantee that it cannot happen. And you do all of that for no reason.
Not only that, but you look at a team like Utah where they're projected really highly to get the number 1 pick.
And they fall to 5.
You know
They
what I
wasn't
mean?
even top 4.
That's crazy, man.
They were
Like,
probably what, the worst team in the league?
yeah,
Almost one of the worst teams in the league.
I don't think there's been once in NBA history where the team that was projected to get number 1 has gotten the number 1 pick in the NBA lottery. So what's the point of trying to get that number 1 overall pick? You know what I mean? It really is up to chance, right? Or I guess the storyline, if we're gonna go with the
storyline.
with that.
Now I'm gonna say this. Here's my cynical point of view. I've been trying to tell you, Chicago fans, whether you want to believe me or not, the NBA is not going to leave their young, upcoming superstars coming into the league to very poorly ran franchises and stupid front offices. They're not going to put these kids in the hands of people who are literally incompetent at everything that they do. These are assets to the NBA. They're athletes and superstars and players to you, but to the NBA, they are business opportunities. They are assets. They're not leaving their most precious commodities that's coming in newly ready to go and be able to do something in the hands of organizations and front offices that are completely stupid. So to me, the Bulls had no chance of getting the number 1 pick because they are a dumb franchise and the front office is retarded. And I don't care how people feel about my language. I know this is supposed to be a PC culture and we're supposed to be saying all the right things, but these are the words I'm using and these are the words I'm not going to change because that's how I feel about this front office. And I could say worse, but this is me trying to be as best as I possibly can on airwaves that'll hit YouTube and Apple and Spotify. So with that being said, I don't understand why anybody in Chicago thought that they would give Cooper Flag to the Chicago Bulls, a franchise that has not been able to do anything pre and post Michael Jordan. I want to remind people that had it not been for Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls would be just known as the Cocaine Bulls. Just a bunch of players doing cocaine all the time and losing a lot of games.
Loving that white lady.
Loving that white cocoa. Because just a team full of stormtroopers. Because that's all that they were doing before Michael Jordan, and I won't say after Michael Jordan, but definitely before. So without Michael, the Chicago Bulls would be a very terrible franchise. We would be one of the worst franchises in NBA history, even with the tenure that we have as being one of the longest running franchises. So it's like, with that being said, and that being the information and that being the history of the Bulls, why do you think they would give us Cooper Flag? We failed with Derek. We failed with Jimmy Butler. We failed with Zach LaVine. And you think they're about to give you Cooper Flag? So what? You can fail with that too? No. Go pick somebody at number 12 that we don't really care if he's a superstar or not. And if he turns out to be one, great. We'll probably tell you that you got to trade him to Los Angeles in 5 years too. Or New York, or Golden State, or somewhere where we feel like there is competency going on. So yeah, find somebody at 12. If he turns out to be a rock star, kudos to y'all. Y'all finally did something great in the scouting department. But by no means are we giving y'all the number 1 pick, and y'all have yet to show that y'all have any competency. So that's my thoughts on the Bulls landing at 12. They look dumb. They look very stupid.
Yes.
They look absolutely insane for trying to sell people on the idea that either tanking was good, we're going young, or that by trading Zach LaVine, we're securing opportunities to get our pick in the 2025 draft. Because essentially, by trading Zach, what you were trying to tell your fan base, wink, wink, was that you were trying to position yourself for a Cooper Flag run. That was the point. That was the point of trading Zach. Get your picks back and hopefully secure the idea that we're still a bad team. We're in the play-in. There's a chance that we could potentially get Cooper. But you couldn't even tank right. You couldn't even get your guys to understand, hey, it's not in our best interest going forward to win a lot of these games. We're going to stay in the play-in because the East is very bad. Nobody was really coming to get us except maybe Toronto. And Toronto was having a hard time holding on in the 11th spot. So we were head and above shoulders that 11th spot. So we were going to land 9 and 10. Our best bet was to be number 10. That way we could have actually had an opportunity to be in the top 10 or potentially be have a higher percentage of being at least top 4. But we couldn't even get top 5, coach. Top 6.
No.
We landed at 12. Like we actually had a good record this year. We landed at 12 like we made a trade and just so happened to get into the lottery because we made a good trade with a bad team. That's how we look. But the reality is that's not what we did. That's not who we are.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I just got one thing to add. I just found it so fitting that the way we don't get the number 1 pick is by coin toss. Like, I love that it came down to a coin toss in Chicago at the McCormick Place.
Supposedly, it came down to a coin toss.
Supposedly, right?
But we're gonna go with the rules. It came with a coin toss.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I found that very fitting. Just shows how cursed this franchise is. Just shows that we will never amount to anything, at least in my lifetime. I'm like so set in stone about that. I don't think the Chicago Bulls are going to be anything within the next 80 years.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
100%. And it's sad, but you know what? Whatever. I've accepted it. I've moved on to other avenues. Hopefully, the Chicago Bears could do something in the next 5 years. Hopefully the Chicago Blackhawks could do something in the next 10 years with Connor Bedard, because I've lost hope in my Chicago Bulls, and I'm embarrassed to call them my Chicago Bulls nowadays, because it's like,
yeah, the best thing they can do for me is go get Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, just anything at this point to make the game more watchable.
Yeah, get Kevin Durant. Figure out a way to get Kevin in Chicago, and that might be suffice enough to salvage something.
But
because Giannis ain't coming here.
Yeah, as we move on from one set of predictions, all right, talking about draft lottery and all that good stuff, let's move on to the final part of the show. What's the final part of the show, Coach?
The halftime predictions. Voice cracked a little bit. That's crazy. All right, so Derek Carr at the beginning of the season was announced to have retired. And I think this just makes New Orleans look dumb as hell. This makes them look very, 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 very. I don't know how many varies I can say. Foolish.
Yeah.
Because you had the opportunity at number 9?
Yep.
To draft Shedeur Sanders. They ended up taking Tyler Shuck or whatever.
Tyler Shuck.
And he's infamous.
Second round, I think.
He's an infamous meme for throwing terrible passes all at the combine. Now, I'm assuming you drafted this kid, Tyler, and you passed up on Shedeur at number 9 because you didn't know that Derek Carr was going to retire. I'm going to assume that they did not know or did not see this coming.
Yeah, they did.
That's what I'm going to assume. But the fact that they are now trying to put out public relations notices to their fan base to say, we're just going to make it a QB1 battle between the quarterbacks we got on this roster right now, is absolutely absurd. It's saving face on the fact that your entire fan base is screaming, y'all should have just drafted Shedeur at number 9. Because now that entire fan base is saying, y'all need to make a trade for a quarterback. Go get Shedeur. If you're in their fan community, the fan community is saying trade for Shedeur. Go get him.
Mm-hmm.
Or do something. Or go get Aaron Rodgers. Figure something out. But you're not going to tell me that we're walking into the season hoping that Tyler Shuck can be our quarterback. Now, if you want to know my other cynical thought, who was the quarterback for New Orleans Saints years and years and years ago?
Drew Brees.
But who before that?
Who before that? Let me know, Coach.
Archie Manning.
I'm seeing where this is going. Okay.
Archie Manning.
You think they're making a run to go get Arch Manning?
Hell yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll see, man.
Hell yeah. We had granddad, now we get grandson.
Shit, we'll see, man.
So I think this is the positioning. They didn't draft Shedeur because all along they have been looking at putting a Manning back into the New Orleans Saints jersey. And now that Derek Carr has retired, they have no intentions on being a good team this season. No intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no intentions on finding a quarterback that's going to really give them chances to win games. They are going to tank for Arch Manning.
You know, I will say, though, with Derek Carr retiring, he did do the New Orleans Saints a huge solid, because he was still guaranteed $30 million this year.
Yeah.
And would have hit against the cap. He's only taken $10 million for his roster bonus, and the $30 million cap hit will not apply this year.
But they still gotta pay it.
They'll still pay it. It'll still hit this year, but I think next year, he completely falls off the books, which they got really, really lucky with.
Mm-hmm.
because we know New Orleans doesn't.
They were in cap hell.
Has been in cap hell
Yeah.
for as long as I've known, and they're finally going to be able to start scraping themselves out of there.
Now let me
in
ask
the
you
near
this:
future.
do you think New Orleans make a trade, or do you think they just let this season play out with whoever is quarterback one, and then they look towards next year's draft for a quarterback?
You know, like me, the professional, Madden GM says that they should that they would trade for a quarterback, but I mean realistically I just think it's going to be too hard. They would have to give up too much to try and get any one of these quarterbacks, especially one of the rookie quarterbacks that just got drafted. You did take Tyler Shuck, I believe it was in the second round. You still have Spencer Rattler. I mean, if you're banking on one of them to be your starting quarterback, so be it. I don't think anyone's expecting New Orleans to be great this year. I don't think they're expected to be any great this year. Which sucks because you're wasting another year of Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave and all these other talents on the team. But the reality is what it is, and I don't know. I just don't think they make the trade at quarterback. I think it truly will just be QB1 battle between Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make a trade. I think they're just going to let it play out. And I think they're looking for Arch Manning to come out. And I believe he's going to I believe he's going to come out in next year's draft. I do believe that.
And they just took Kelvin Banks, the left tackle, for that blindside protection for Arch Manning next year. So.
Yeah. So I that's what that's my assumption.
Yeah.
They're going to let this quarterback who's ever back there right now die and get killed. As Kelvin Banks learns how to play that left tackle position, take all his lumps now. So when Arch is ready to come, when it says pick number 1 to the New Orleans Saints, Arch Manning, University of Texas quarterback, and he comes in and plays and becomes their quarterback, it'll be all in their mind worth it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the Saints are going to play this out. I don't
agree.
see them making a trade for a quarterback, and I don't see them risking an opportunity to not put themselves in a position to be first on the board to grab Arch next year in next year's NFL draft.
Yep.
All right, Coach. What episode is this?
This is episode 33, Coach.
33. That's a beautiful number. That's a Scottie Pippen number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we want to make sure you guys follow and subscribe to our YouTube at the Halftime Pod. Remember, you're watching it, we see it. You're sharing it, we see it. You're commenting, we see it. You even hit the like button, but you got to hit that subscribe button. All right? That helps us a lot. As well, follow me at Coach M_Got It. That's Coach M_Got It. And follow Coach Conrad at Coach_KD41. Remember, we got a lot of things going on that you can stay in tune to. If you got specific questions or specific things that you want to holler at either one of us about, our messaging and DMs are always free to have conversation with anybody that's interested in talking about the Halftime Podcast, joining the show, giving your thoughts, or even just going back and forth about certain opinions. We love talking to anybody, talking to our fans, talking to those that agree or disagree. Everything is good for us because it makes for us talking, putting together our show when we're show prepping and deciding what we're going to do. So we appreciate all of that. We also want to remind people to send pictures, photographs, any type of paintings or murals or anything that you want to send to us that we can put on our lovely set behind here, and we can give you a shout out on our show. We would love to change things around, spice things up. Obviously, the only thing that's going to stay consistent, as we always keep telling you, is MJ. It's like good luck for us, baby. So that's going to stay consistent. But everything else, we can switch around and have some fun things. And plus, we would just love to shout out any of the creators that sent us stuff, because that's the way that we would love to show support. Again, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok, and Patreon as well. We have some new episodes that will be coming. So when that hits, we will definitely be reminding you guys of those Patreon episodes. But for right now, I think we got, 3 episodes up?
I believe it's either 2 or 3.
2 or 3 episodes up on Patreon. So please go to our Patreon. I believe the link is in our, is it in our YouTube bio or is it in our Instagram bio?
I believe it's in both.
Both. All right. So it's in our YouTube bio and our Instagram bio. Please go to our Patreon. Follow that. Subscribe to that. Watch the videos there for more in-depth content where me and Coach just give our opinion on different deep conversations that we don't necessarily have during this show, or for just conversations about things that we see as coaches, the other coaches are doing. Which, by the way, if you heard how we talked about Steve Kerr and Joe Mazzulla, you might know exactly what the next Patreon might look like. All right, that's been another episode of the Halftime Podcast. This is episode 33. I'm Coach Malcolm.
And I'm Coach Conrad.
And as always, you know how it goes. See red and bear down, baby. Yes, sir.